I'm sure all of you have seen the Ford Fiesta by now, but let's go over some of the styling highlights before we take this thing for a test drive. First off, this is what Ford calls its kinetic styling theme. And what you'll really notice is this trapezoidal shape under the front bumper. You're going to start to see this kind of shape show up on just about everything that Ford Motor Company comes out with, at least for its passenger cars. Then, of course, these sort of cat eye headlamps, which are huge, really give the front end more of a presence on this car. Another thing I like is this plunging character line that runs down the side of the car. By going downward, it gives forward motion to the car, gives it a sense of movement, even when it's just parked here. And on the rear end, one little styling trick that they used, also for aerodynamic purposes, is how they carried the roof line over the backlight here, which of course is the proper term for the back window of the car. And when you pop this trunk open, you'll find that there's a reasonable amount of trunk space back here. You could drop in different amounts of shopping bags in this thing. And of course, if you put the back seat down, you're going to have even more room. But make no mistake about it, this is a subcompact car. I've got the front seat where I would want it for driving. And when I get in here, it's a bit of a tight squeeze. My knees are right up against the seat. So if you're in the back, make sure somebody short is sitting up in front of you. But come on, let's get in this thing, take it for a test drive, because that's how you get to know what our car is really about. The first thing that you'll notice when you get in this car is, man, this is really busy. There's all kinds of switches and buttons and knobs and things, but guess what? In about a week or so, you're going to learn where everything is. It's not that hard to do it. To get it going, real easy. Since this is a manual, you got to push in the clutch, and we've got a keyless start right here. Let's take this thing out on the road. The first thing that you notice in driving this car is that the steering is very light, very nimble. That's because it has electric power steering. There's a downside to it though. Because it's so light and so well boosted, there's not a whole lot of feedback, and it's easy to drift off the road if you're not paying attention because you're not getting that on-center feel to it. It's not bad, but something that you got to be aware of. The other thing that you'll notice is that this is a manual transmission car, so it seems to pick up and go reasonably well. I've heard that the automatics are not so great from an acceleration standpoint. So far, to my knowledge, Ford has not put any automatics in its test fleet, or I certainly haven't had one to test drive. So I'll just say that probably the automatic is going to be a bit slow. But this is a very nice driving vehicle. It's smooth, it's not buzzy. Even when you wind out the engine, it doesn't feel like you're really thrashing it. You'll just find that the acceleration is not all that brisk. The trade-off, of course, in getting a subcompact car with a small engine with low horsepower is you get pretty good fuel economy. I'm getting roughly 40 miles per gallon combined in this car, though I got to admit, most of my driving has been on the highway. You know, this car is fully loaded. It's got everything on it that you can get on this thing. But it's about $19,000, in fact, over $19,000. In my book, that's a little bit pricey, but if you're looking for a small car that gets good fuel economy, is very well made, looks good, and is relatively affordable, the Ford Fiesta is as competitive as anything that's in the market.